At a busy town market, a German shepherd stood tied to a post, a crude sign above him reading, "For sale, $1." Shoppers laughed, walking past without care. But when one officer approached and recognized the dog, his blood ran cold. It was his missing canine partner. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. From the very first day they met, Officer James knew Rex wasn't just another dog. He was family. Rex, a sharp-eyed German shepherd, had a way of looking straight into your soul, as if he already understood everything. Together, they trained tirelessly, day and night, building a bond that went beyond duty. Rex wasn't just a partner. He was James's protector, his confidant, his shadow. On the streets, Rex's instincts saved James more than once, pulling him out of danger with fearless loyalty. Everyone in town knew their names. To them, Rex wasn't just a canine, he was a hero. It was supposed to be a routine operation, a late-night raid on a warehouse suspected of hiding stolen goods. James and Rex had done this countless times before, but that night, chaos erupted. Alarms blared, shadows scattered, and in the confusion, Rex bolted after a suspect into the dark. James sprinted after him, calling his name, but the echoes of barking grew faint until they vanished completely. Hours turned into days as search teams combed alleys, forests, and abandoned buildings. James refused to rest, clinging to hope, with every lead. But each time, he returned empty-handed. It was as though Rex had vanished into thin air. The weight of loss hit harder than any bullet ever could. For James, it wasn't just a missing canine. It was losing his best friend, the partner who had stood by him through everything. That night carved a wound he feared would never heal. Reached for Rex's leash out of habit, only to be crushed by the silence that filled his home. The empty kennel in the corner felt like a gaping wound, a reminder that his partner, his friend, was gone. On duty, James was never the same. His colleagues noticed the change. The once confident officer now carried an invisible weight. He moved slower, spoke less, and every call felt incomplete without the steady presence of Rex by his side. The town noticed too. People would ask quietly, "Any news about Rex?" And James's forced smile gave them the answer before words could. But the hardest part was at night. He replayed their last mission in his head, wondering if he could have done more. Guilt gnawed at him like a shadow he couldn't escape. Months passed, and with each one, hope faded further. Posters with Rex's face curled in the wind, ignored by passers-by who assumed the worst. But James never gave up completely. Deep inside, he clung to a fragile belief that one day, somehow, Rex would find his way back home. One chilly morning, James wandered through the town's bustling marketplace. Vendors shouted over one another, children tugged at their parents' sleeves, and the smell of roasted food filled the air. It was just another day, or so he thought. Then he heard it. A bark. Low, tired, but hauntingly familiar. James froze, his heart pounding as his eyes darted through the crowd. And there, tied to a wooden post beneath a crude cardboard sign, that read "For sale, $1," stood a German shepherd with weary eyes and a frayed rope around its neck. The world around James seemed to blur. He stepped closer, his breath catching in his throat. The dog lifted its head, and their eyes met. For a moment, time stopped. Tears welled in James's eyes as recognition hit him like a storm. It wasn't just any dog. It was Rex, his partner, his lost brother. James's legs moved before his mind could catch up. He pushed through the crowd, his eyes locked on the frail figure tied to the post. "Rex," he shouted, his voice cracking with a mixture of hope and disbelief. At first, the dog didn't react. Months of neglect had dulled his spirit, his ears drooping as if the world had given up on him. But then, as James stepped closer, something shifted. Rex's ears perked, his head tilted, and a faint spark lit in his tired eyes. With a weak wag of his tail, he let out a whimper that broke James's heart. "Easy, buddy, it's me," James whispered, dropping to his knees. Tears blurred his vision as he reached for Rex's muzzle. The dog pressed forward, licking James's hand with trembling urgency, as if afraid this moment might vanish. The marketplace fell silent. Vendors stopped shouting, Shoppers stood frozen, and whispers rippled through the crowd. They all knew they were witnessing something extraordinary. A man and his missing partner, torn apart by tragedy, reunited by fate. James wrapped his arms around Rex, holding him close. "I've got you now," he whispered fiercely, "and I'll never let you go again." Once Rex was safely in James's arms, questions flooded his mind. How had his loyal partner ended up here, tied to a post like discarded trash? The answer came soon after, and it chilled him to the bone. Through investigation, James learned that during the chaotic warehouse raid, Rex had been deliberately targeted. A group of men involved in illegal trafficking had snatched him, knowing the value of a trained K9. They tried to break him, to retrain him for their own use, but Rex resisted every attempt. His loyalty and training were unshakable. Frustrated, the criminals abandoned him. For weeks, Rex had been shuffled from one shady handler to another, each trying and failing to control him. Finally, when he became useless to them, they dumped him in the marketplace to be sold off like junk, a price tag of $1 sealing his humiliation. The truth sickened James. His partner, once hailed as a hero, had endured suffering and betrayal no creature deserved. But what filled him with pride was this: despite everything, Rex never gave in. His spirit remained loyal, waiting for the day he would find his way back home. That day had finally come. News of the reunion spread faster than wildfire. By evening, the entire town was buzzing. People gathered outside the police station, some carrying flowers, others holding handmade signs that read, "Welcome home, Rex." Children who had once been comforted by Rex's presence ran forward to see him again, their eyes wide with joy. The marketplace vendor who had attempted to sell Rex was questioned immediately. Outrage poured through the community. How could anyone reduce a hero to a price tag of $1? Neighbors demanded justice, their voices echoing through the square. But amid the anger, there was something else: hope. Seeing Rex reunited with James reminded everyone of the power of loyalty and resilience. Strangers embraced one another, tears in their eyes, as they watched Officer and K9 walk together. Again, the town wasn't just welcoming back a dog, they were celebrating the return of a legend. When James walked Rex back into the police station, the room erupted with applause. Officers rose from their desks, some wiping their eyes, others clapping loudly, as if welcoming back a long-lost brother. The chief stepped forward, his usually stern face softened by emotion. He bent down, patting Rex gently. "Welcome home, hero," he said, his voice heavy with gratitude. Rex wagged his tail, ears alert, standing tall despite the scars of his ordeal. For the first time in months, James felt whole again. His partner was back where he belonged. That evening, the department held a small celebration. Photos of Rex during past missions decorated the walls, reminders of his bravery. One officer raised a toast, declaring, "To Rex, the dog who never stopped being a hero, even when the world forgot." Cheers filled the room. The nightmare was over. Rex had finally come home. Late that night, James sat on his porch with Rex curled at his feet. The world was quiet, but inside his heart, there was peace. He ran his hand over Rex's fur, feeling the steady rhythm of his breathing. "I thought I lost you forever," he whispered. Rex lifted his head, eyes gleaming with trust, as if to say he had never given up. For James, Rex was more than a partner, he was family. Their bond, tested by loss and strengthened by reunion, was unbreakable. No matter what came next, they would face it together, side by side.